evening and welcome to the November 24th edition of Beyond the Headlines. My name is Colin Dowe. I'll be serving as your host, and thank you so very much for joining us this evening. So whether you're looking at us on GBN television, tuned in on GBN radio, or any of our social media platforms, as I start every show, thank you for giving a part of your Monday evening to be with us and to engage in the discussions. This evening, I must confess, this one is a first because we have not necessarily engaged directly with politicians. Now, yes, I know we have had politicians on, but typically it's looking at ministerial portfolios or the state of their party. But in this evening's case, we have three guests, all who contested the 2022 elections in St. Andrew. And 3 years on, 3.5 years, we're going to hear from them what has been the work in their constituencies and how I would think they're enjoying life as a politician. So with me this evening, I will go from my immediate left and go around. Senator David Andrew, welcome.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be here.
Honorable Delma Thomas, welcome back.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here also.
And Honorable Lennox Andrews, welcome to our program.
Yeah, thank you. But you didn't call my name properly.
You want me to give you a middle name?
Give me my middle name.
No, I'm not going to even, when we get into the discussions, right, I would, because imagine saying Honorable Toes on television. I don't know if we'd want to start there. So, I'll give Honorable Lennox J. Andrews as a starter.
All right, well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Excellent, excellent. And as I said, it is different for me. And if I can, just each of you as a start off, if you can just share, when did you get into party politics? And why? I would start with, I don't know if you're the newbie or not. I know we have one seasoned one in the middle, but I don't know if you're the newbie or not. But share with us.
I'll be happy to take that that title. So for me, the truth be told, I was never quite interested in political engagement. I'd always been someone who was interested in Grenada, interested in service. So I started as a teacher, and I was just interested in doing my best. Serving, and then I got to a place where I wanted to do more for students. I wanted to see them move beyond just the French or the science that I taught, and I wanted them to be able to rise above the challenges, to be able to exploit and deal with the situations and get more of themselves. And that's when I went off to study psychology and counseling with a view to coming back. And then I did come back and serve. So it was always about people. I served as a counseling assistant and then a school counseling supervisor. And then I got to serve as the chief education officer in the Ministry of Education, then student support services director. Now, in all of those cases, it was all about people, serving people. But at one point in my journey in education, it got to a place where I wasn't happy with the direction education was taking. As a person within the education system who had then spent over 20 plus years of my life in education, I wasn't happy with its direction. And I saw many professionals becoming demoralized. I saw even myself as a person in a particular field, I saw how slighted some of those suggestions and professional guidelines that we would provide were being treated. I watched the IT professionals and how they were treated, and you just felt there was no place in an academic setting, in a ministry like education, for the voices and the opinions of educators. That was my personal experience, and I started to look towards making my 26 2/3 years to get out to do my own personal consultancy, and preparing to go. Started lining up my days, my time, to make sure I could make my 26 2/3, because I was confident at some point the laws had to change and the court judgment ought to have been respected at some point. At that point, it wasn't.
Right.
And then I met Deacon Mitchell. And he, like me, wanted to do some stuff to improve Grenada. And I became part of a group with him. Then it was called Regeneration. And we got together from time to time. We would brainstorm. We would talk about how could we help Grenada? How could we change things in Grenada? That was the discussion. We were talking about whether we form NGOs, whether we, and we were brainstorming every time. And then eventually the consensus was, listen, you can't get the kind of change you want or we need if you stay outside of the political system. So we determined you had to get involved somewhere in one of the political systems around. And we weighed it very well. And for me, it was clear if helping meant, because I was so inspired by meeting this young man, how driven he was, and how his modalities synced with what I believed in as a person, that I was happy to get involved in one of the political parties around. But given my values, given where I come from, given my upbringing, it was easy for me to clearly choose to go with the National Democratic Congress, right? So we advised ourselves, listen, we had to go in, we had to meet the membership, we had to become members, we had to join the party, and that we did. So I remember going to the then chairperson, I think it was Josephine Blash, and saying, listen, I'm interested in becoming a member, we want to help become a part of the process. And that's when I became a member of the National Democratic Congress.
All right.
In 2021, that was.
21. Honorable Delma Thomas?
Yes, so for me, similar to David in terms of never imagine I'll be in frontline politics. I never thought of it before I was really approached. And so I was a teacher, likewise, doing assisting educational wise. Apart from being in the school, I did some private classes for students who were slow in math and English. I took children in my house, and love what I did. So my education officer, Mr. Sukram and Mr. Vivek, would say that's one of the best teachers, and so they will use me as a role model as a teacher because I always plan, I always take children interests at heart,
right.
Not go with the full class, but took the brighter ones on one side and go with the slower ones. So to me, that was my calling then. However, I was approached by the now leader of His Majesty's opposition, identifying that I could be a good game changer for St. Andrew Northwest and identifying the prevailing issues then in the constituency. And so I she was my friend,
right.
So she felt confident to come and ask to see me, and I went at her home and we discussed. But I say, politics, in my mind, I'm kind of shocked that you're coming to me with politics. But I guess people, she know me, so she think that was a call to a different agenda, and so you can't just jump because you have not been involved in anything like that, and so you will have to be discussing with others what do they think about that. So I went to the church and I went to people around who say, well, your father was really a community man who should have been a parliamentary representative either St. Andrew Northeast or St. Andrew Northwest, because he worked so well in those areas, and so your father work will carry you through. And what I knew then, my father said was what his view on politics. He said politics normally spoil you, and you have a kind of different thing how people spoil your name and drag it. So I kind of was, but the truth is I came from very poor family. So I know what it is to do not have any water in your house, no fridge, no electricity. Well, if there's no electricity, there's no fridge. But even a stove inside your house, we didn't have. So I saw that as a means of making a bigger contribution. Yes, you're in the school and you can assist children, but that was a way to go in, and I'm from Moncton. And they normally say that nothing good cannot come from Moncton. So the very fact that a girl from Moncton, from very poor parentage, is now getting that chance to be able to champion for more than Moncton. So Moncton, yes, because that's where I'm from, but the constituency go beyond that. And then it also involved Paraclete, where I was born. I was born in Paraclete, but moved to Moncton later on. So, and I taught in different schools, had different friends in different areas. So I guess that was the reason. And then I took that leap of faith. First in 2000 and so 2008. So I got involved in frontline politics in 2007 and ran the first election in 2008 and lost to Alan Walker. Yes.
Okay. All right. Lennox?
Yes. Well, my story started when I was in my early years. Growing up, I recognized the differences that exist in the village where I grew up. There were some people who were well-to-do. There were others who were struggling. And I always try to understand what accounted for that difference. And in the back of my head, I was saying to myself, what can I do to help those who were struggling? And when I went to school in GBSS, I, of course, was being schooled by George Brizan, Basil Bonaparte, and they had a certain philosophy of life, one in which they showed great interest in children. And we, coming from the countryside, they also showed great interest in us. And so developed in me a passion to always want to help people and help to improve the lives of people. And even at that very school age, I got actively involved in the school's students' council. And I recall being elected to serve on this students' council as the public relations officer, together with some other country boys, like Dr. Timothy Daniel and Dr. Roger Rapier, and so on. And we, as part of that students' council, our focus was simply looking after the needs of those students who couldn't look after themselves. Right. And I recall one year we had what is called a big function, speech night, and in speech night, we raised over about $700, and I recall we using around $650 to pay for the GCE exam fees for those students who couldn't pay. So in me, there was always that vibes of wanting to help. And in fact, at the GBSS, at the advanced level, I studied economics. And the reason why I studied economics was simply because I thought that economics was that particular subject that would allow me to understand, how can I really help people. And when I went to university, I studied a special branch of economics, which is development economics. And development economics focuses directly on what a country can do to develop, to transform lives, and to improve the lives of its people. But I also read a lot. So I read about the great thinkers and the great politicians of the world. So I read about Fidel Castro, for example. What made him so great? What was his philosophy? I read about Patrice Lumumba, the great Congolese leader. Yeah, I read about Mandela. I read about Gaddafi. And of course, I was inspired as well by our own Eric Machegeri and Maurice Bishop. And from all of these readings and all of this understanding, combined with my understanding of economics, I wanted to be more actively involved in a way that I can contribute meaningfully. And in my early years, I could not openly come out in the politics because I understood that for you to be a full-blown, full-fledged politician, you must have a certain level of economic independence and financial freedom. And therefore, I spent some time trying to build that economic base, my individual economic strength, so that I know when I go into it, I have a source of income that would allow me to function as a real politician without having to consider, you have this bill to pay, or that bill to pay, and that bill to pay. But in my study of the great leaders, I also found that all of them came from, if I may say, well-to-do families. Their parents weren't poor, right? So they had the financial strength and the financial support, yeah? And therefore I understood that to be a good politician, you must have that level of economic independence, right? And so I joined openly. Before I was more or less in the back, working with with those who are more brave than I am, put it that way, you know, giving them the support and so on, until such time when I realized that I was financially strong and economically independent to be able to, if I may say, lead and to be actively involved in the politics of my country. And that's where I am. That's where I am today. And I feel comfortable that I have joined a party that originated from one of my early admirers, George Bizan, one of my early thinkers, and I got that vibes really and truly from him, from since GBSS days, from since my early school days, and it is because really and truly that I have a philosophy of life, of course, and that philosophy is always working to improve the lives of others, and that's my philosophy.
If you were to say, in coming in, one thing that you wanted to do for your constituency, I know we all have these passions. What did you say? I'm coming in, I'm jumping in, this is the first time running, but when I win, I know you didn't say if I win, so when I win, I want to do X. What is that thing?
Well, no, I mean, is that one thing, really and truly? I mean, what you want to see is people's lives improve.
Yeah, I mean, in a general sense, right? But I know that there was an intervention you must have had in mind that can catapult that improvement. Yeah,
so I believe in education as an instrument to improve the lives of people. And my thinking is that if I can get scholarships, provide scholarship, and convert Grenada into a big school where the opportunities are available to all to study and to be what they want to be, then so one of the things that I have done is that I've obtained scholarships as the Minister of Agriculture. I have 15 young Grenadians on scholarships right now in Guyana studying different aspects of agricultural science. Right. And for me, that is in itself one good thing I would have done in fulfillment of my philosophy of trying to improve the lives of our people.
Okay. Delma?
So for me, it was education, because I believe that only education we could truly eradicate poverty. And I speak to the fact that I came from very humble beginning, and so that would have assisted me as an individual to rise from being poverty-stricken to a middle class. And so I knew I had to make a difference within the constituency. And you know, one of the things I looked at though, when I before me entering politics in Moncton, where I'm from, I was the first person to have a first degree, and that was instructive to me, because when I looked, and there are a lot of other young people who had the ability to do like me and even better than me, but just did not get that opportunity, and so that drive me. So when I first get into government, one of the key things for me was ensuring that we had more people, and within the first term I had about 7 people just from that area. I mean, overall in the constituency maybe you have 20 something, but that particular area I felt that I needed to encourage, to go around, to call people, to say you need to do that, and so to get them to not only go to TAMCC and start looking for a work, but go beyond, because you're giving yourself that empowerment where you could do more than just depending on a government to provide you with some other program. So I did work to ensure that we provide scholarships and other tuition assistance in some instances to ensure that these young people get proper education. Excellent. And I encourage them.
Nice. David?
Yeah. So for me, my response is going to be a little different, because when I went in, I mean, I love education, I love people, and my life has always been about inspiring and improving the lives of people. And there's no better place than education to do that. And I have had a background in education, so I think it's almost a natural fit. But I think for me, when I got in, what my strongest commitment was to be an honest and genuine person and to give my best effort. And I said to myself, wherever that lands me, whatever portfolio it lands me in, whether or not I succeeded, and that was my honest word at the time, I am going to go and give my best. If it's worth being done, it's worth being done well. And so my thought was, wherever I'm placed, I'm going to do well. I'm going to just do my best, and I still am guided by that.
Okay. You basically have two jobs. Well, I'm going to poke fun at you now. They have two jobs. You have one. Because both of you were employed by the people of your constituency and also employed by the Prime Minister through your ministerial portfolios. How difficult is it to balance both? I mean, I'm going to start with the most experienced and senior, representative here. But how difficult it is to balance ministerial portfolio with your constituency obligations? Of course, David, I'm going to come to you as well.
I'm a Thomas.
Right.
So you would appreciate that initially it was difficult because you're now having to balance with two jobs, as you say.
Right.
So with the constituency who is responsible for you even getting the other job.
Right.
Because maybe if I did not run for election and won, this other job of being a minister would not be available.
Right.
So at first it was I had to balance, but I found the balance by ensuring that you come to the ministry, so you may have cabinet first, and so you know that is the most important aspect, so you cannot miss cabinet. But you will plan your agenda every day, leaving some time in the afternoon session to go back to the people who entrust you with a seat to represent them in the parliament. So I found that formula whereby I go to the work that then, because I mean getting paid as a parliamentarian only happened recently.
Right.
Before it was only the ministerial responsibility you get paid for.
Right.
So it means that's your job.
Yeah.
But people voted for you, and so you have to represent them because you are the servant. So they are responsible for the position that you have, whether or not you. I mean, there are some people who get ministerial responsibility without running for election. But I from where I came from, I know that I got the position because I won the seat of St. Andrew Northwest, and so I do not take the people in the constituency for granted, and so I consistently engage back within my constituency. And that even go back, I said I ran in 2007, so it started there.
Right.
But I lost the seat in 2007, but the people will tell you that they saw me every day in a different area until I found a work at St. George's University, and then I had less time than in the morning. So when I came from work in the evening, I would stop in a particular village, have a meeting and do all that. So from there, I appreciate that it's people that are voting for you and people that are responsible. You are responsible to them. And so I continue to engage my constituents on a regular basis and engage them in the decision making of the constituency. So I do not make decisions for them, because since they're the one employed me, then I must go back to them and engage with them to see what must be done within the constituency, and so do for them with them.
Right. Lennox, you have a heavy portfolio. I mean, to be honest with you, when the ministerial listings were given, I felt sorry for you, right? Because economic development weighs heavily. Yeah. Agriculture is critical, and we toss a couple other things in there, and then you still have the people of St. Andrew Southwest to deal with. Yeah. How has that balance been for you over the last 3 years?
So it's been a very rich experience, but I recall reading a booklet, I should say, by the great Guyanese historian Walter Rodney. And in that booklet, Walter Rodney said that a government in power must maintain that groundings with the people, must never move away from the people. And bearing that in mind, I always try to find a way to, on the one hand, fulfill my ministerial duties, and on the other, simultaneously, maintain that groundings with my people. Now, it's a delicate balance, actually, and perhaps it is the most difficult part of the job. Because on the one hand, the people want to see you, and they want to see you every day. Right. But simultaneously, you have to bring benefits to them.
Right.
Good? You bring benefits to them not when they see you every day. I mean, it may bring some satisfaction to them, but simultaneously they have needs, and the real benefits have to be satisfied. Those needs have to be satisfied, and it is through the government portfolio and government work that you can you can bring the benefits to them. And it's something that we have to get our people to appreciate. Yeah, appreciate. No. So let me give you an example. Whenever I travel, I always want to come back with something for the population, for the people. So when I went to that, a couple of years ago, I went to a FAO meeting, FAO meeting in Guyana, and I met the Minister for Agriculture for the very first time. Good? And he was chairing the meeting. And after the meeting, I approached him and I said to him, I want some scholarships for Grenadians. He said, simple. All you have to do, write me a letter, and you'll give me scholarships. So I wrote him a letter. They give me 9 scholarships. The next year, 9 scholarships. Yeah? So for the next 3 years, we have scholarships. But I take the scholarships back to the people because now we have 15 young Grenadians studying in Guyana. So the point is that there has to be an appreciation and an understanding that to really bring the benefits to the people and to establish that groundings with the people, you have to get the ministerial work done. And the ministerial work must be such that it brings benefit to the people. Right. So the people must understand that if they don't see me, it is because I'm working for them some way, somehow. Yeah? And if I could only get them to understand that. Now, so I mean, it's a problem for all of us, I must admit. We all have this same problem. And, of course, we discussed it ourselves. And we took the decision that we should, at least in the first instance, 1 day per week, stay away from the office and go to your parliamentary office and meet with the people. So you actually spend a full day with them. And you allocate it, you share it among different your different polling division. So today you go to a particular village, next week another village, next week another village. But what I do is that every Thursday morning, I meet who want to see me. They come to see me in my office from around 9 until I finish. And then in the afternoon, I take a rest, and then I go out in the constituency and meet people. If there's a funeral, I go to that. If somebody wants to see me, I make sure I find time to see me. If not, we take a team, and we visit a particular village, and we meet the people. And that's the way in which we try to find that balance between the ministerial work and simultaneously ensuring that the people see you. Okay. Because they want to see you.
David, you have a job and you're seeking another.
Yes.
So how do you fulfill your mandate as Minister of Education and Human Resource Development while at the same time advocating for that second job that the other two already hold?
Well, interestingly, I like the way you put the question, because you'd have to probably say that to constituents, because constituents have a difficulty seeing that there's a difference. Yeah, because they generally see you, once you're a part of the government, as the representative, as the MP. They appreciate that as part of the government, you have access to the resources and you are able to make things happen. And that is accurate in many respects. But the reality is, I have not been given the mandate by the people, and I'm not so empowered to do, given the new developments in how representation takes place. But to answer the question strictly, it's a very interesting challenge that I believe I'm managing well. Like Lennox, and I know most of my other colleagues, we make specific time, and not just on Thursdays for me, but during the week, where we'd engage, but on Thursdays specifically for that. And sometimes during the week, I go to other communities just to make sure nobody could say they don't know this man, they have not seen him, they have not been able to engage him. So on the next call, they know who this guy is, and they've been able to engage with him. The balancing act comes, you have to balance family, because there are times I go out and my daughter would wait. And she says, Daddy, I have this for you to review.
Right.
I have to save something in the tank there to be able to treat with that.
That's a third job that you must maintain.
Exactly. So
that's one you don't want to get fired from.
Oh, absolutely not. Right. I mean, I prefer to get fired from any of the others. Right. I'll be quite honest. I mean, I'm going to balance all of them. Yeah. But if I had to get fired from any, it won't be that one. Yeah. And so there's balancing that and making sure that I don't allow my children and family to become statistics. Because that will constitute my biggest failure, not losing us by a certain number of electoral votes. My biggest failure would be failing my children and family. And so that I won't compromise. The good thing about it, while I make time to engage the community, I try to carve time out for my family and to execute a ministerial function. I have fantastic staff, competent staff at the Ministry of Education. I'm quite familiar with the processes there, so I think it's made it a whole lot easier. And I think I have some skill sets that allow me to be able to manage myself. I'm self-aware, and I'm able to use many of the psychological skills to compartmentalize and to be able to carve out time for me and keep me centered. So I'm always in a good mental space. Don't allow myself to get overly stressed. I manage the things I can manage, and the things I can't, I don't. So these skills have become very, very important in managing those dual and triple portfolios that comes in this seat.
All right. Quite quickly before we take our first break, I just want to go to each of you. 3 things that you have done. I heard scholarships, 14 scholarships, 50. Sorry, I don't want to leave anybody out.
And 3 more going in January.
And 3 more going in January to bring you up to the total of 18.
That's right.
So that's one thing. But just constituency-wide, if you can just mention 2 or 3 things that you have done for your constituency. Just rapid fire. We'll come back to go deeper into them.
So I want to mention that the approach taken at the constituency level is to address the needs of the constituents that they have been asking for a very long time, but they haven't received. So right now, for example, in food pasture in St. Andrew, we're constructing bathroom, toilet, storeroom. We're also constructing a new road, and we are also constructing some bleachers for them. That's happening right now. The people of St. James, they said to me in the campaign, and they're calling me Toes. They say, Mr. Toes, we're not asking for much. All we want is a tough wicket, right? The tough wicket is being constructed right now in St. James.
St. James,
yeah? There are a number of young ladies in Granbra, right? They want a skill. They want to be seamstress. So that is happening right now. They are being trained to become seamstress right now. You want more?
No. We're going to come on. I'll ask for more.
So you would appreciate that I'm speaking in like 3 terms. So it's not a case where I can zero in. So I want to start by not constituency, but it's something that affects the entire parish, and it's a big one for all of us. But the lighting of Progress Park is something that the communities and the parish has been asking for over a lot of years. So for me and for us, it's a big deal. So I want to put this as number 1. One of the things that in my constituency is educational opportunities. I talked about scholarship. So it's more than just scholarships and more than just paying tuition to SGU and UE, but also providing students with the assistance so that they can go to the primary and secondary school. So consistently I've done that. Now we have constituency allowance, so it allows me, give me more resources to be able to do that. But even before that, I seek other assistance to ensure that I provide assistance to children in school. We have an elderly heart soup program that we Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and that has been there for a while. We provide food for them 3 days a week. We have breakfast in the school for children who are unable to get breakfast at home and maybe come hungry, and the teachers may realize there's an issue, that we give milk and cheese and cricks as they require. They would say, well, the milk finished now, so you need to bring new ones and so. So then there's one of the Moncton Child Development Center. Moncton is an area that have a lot of children, and I recall while going around the village, there was a woman who, at that time, because I mean that happened before, she was not a supporter, but she believed in community development, and she identified that you have this old dilapidated building there, why not try to get some funding to get a daycare? That's what she said. And so in going out, and I think I need to zero in on this traveling, because you know sometimes we get carried away to make it look like that as MP and as the Prime Minister he traveling too much, but this is a new Prime Minister, so we must set that straight. So that's the first time He was never in government before. So how we don't have oil. There's no ways in which we really make monies to be able to do all the major projects that people are asking you. But the Prime Minister must travel, and us as minister. And I'm saying that to say that I went to the UN, a side meeting I had, and they said that there's some possibility for some projects. I sat and prepared a draft, got Foreign Affairs to assist and submitted, and we were able to get that project in Moncton. So that's from traveling.
Right.
Recently we gave out cricket kits across Grenada, and that's because of part of the Prime Minister's travel. So I think it's important for us to zero in that as a new government who never been in power before, you have to travel the world over to build relationship. Right. Maybe in its second term it'll be different. You don't have to do all this long travel, because every prime minister in every country, especially in those small countries like ours, they have to travel in order to be able to get relationship, in order to be able to do the major projects that we want to see happen in our different constituency. And that these are critical things. You see, we have to be able to provide our supporters and the entire country with the perspective on those particular issues, because sometimes we let opposition say, well, he's traveling too much. You see, it's also very important to state that within a different dispensation, over the period, a lot of people were not involved directly in politics. I traveled the world over, not in NDC, not being a part of the NDC. In fact, I don't even travel now. I turned down travel because I felt I did a lot of travel and I wanted to kind of stay down on the ground and keep my foot grounded. But I've traveled the world over as serving in another place. So, and a lot of other members travel the world over.
Right.
Former prime ministers, and I'm not talking about specifically to one, but prime ministers over the period travel the world over in order to be able to bring back resources for the country. So this is a new government, and you will expect new ministers and the prime minister to be traveling, and that's why we are seeing all the level of development within our country. Okay. I think I needed to make that point.
No problem.
Right.
Go ahead.
So the first I'll start it again is a little different. I had a fantastic day with children from one of the communities. As I walked in cafe, they wanted to spend a day with the minister. Mm-hmm. So I got to take them out to spend a day with me, to visit the sites, visit the projects, visit the parliament, visit the prime minister, visit the Ministry for Education. They had a fantastic day. They had lunch with the minister as well. I thought that was one of the things that really touched the community. Mm-hmm. I never got to mention that in any of the fora that I use, so I'm choosing this platform to say that. Mm-hmm. It was very fantastic. But then we can talk about that fantastic project that's taking place at Lambert Bridge, where we're putting rail guards, guardrails, we're widening the road, and we've dredged the river to channel the water better in that area and to protect homes and livelihoods in that area. I would probably talk about the Hope Beach development, where we've installed lights. We've recently, with the Ministry of Youth, installed benches, welcome signs, and we are constructing a bathroom and change room facilities there to improve the experience of the villagers that use the facilities. And I can talk about, again, the pasture at SAS that's been recently lit, and the roads in front of the primary school road in Telescope. Those are fantastic projects that I think resonate well with constituents. So I'll just talk about these.
Thank you very much.
I wanted to make a point on that.
Wait, but just to add, for all of us, one of the projects that all of us did that made a substantial difference in the quality of life of our people was the solar lighting that we put out throughout the constituency. It made a huge difference in the lives of our people, and I want to mention that one. Okay.
So I wanted to mention the issue of so now you have the WASH program, but I want to mention bathroom and toilet and the importance. So before me becoming a member of parliament, there was no program within government that provided bathroom and toilet for constituents. Mm-hmm. And so when I came in, I was doing house to house in a particular village in the constituency, but he's elderly now, but at that time he wasn't so old, but he had this kind of disease that have him shaking, so it's difficult, Parkinson's, to go outside. And he raised with me at the time that he needed some washroom facility, but there was no program when I approached the government. So I said, well, I had to do something for him. And what I did was to go to M&N Hardware, Mahan at the time, may his soul rest in peace, who decided to provide me with that particular material. I went to Harry, and I went to another person who gave some blocks. So we had And then I asked one who was my chairman then, he's a contractor, to assist in providing the labor. And so we were able to build this washroom facility by volunteer and donations.
Right.
And so when that happened, I raised that as an issue that as government we should take a policy as it relates to providing bathroom and toilet for people. At that time, only elderly. It wasn't a general thing across the board then. But so a mechanism was put in place, but it was based on how you feel as a parliamentarian, whether or not you feel that that is a priority for you at the constituency. So people will decide whether or not they'll use that resources that is available for constituency in the Prime Minister's office then to do bathroom and toilet, or you meant to do a bridge, or you meant to do some educational program. At that time, I took everything within there and decided that I wanted to try to eradicate pit latrine, knowing that I came from a household where we had no inside bathroom and toilet, and according to them, or being exposed to all kind of insects. So I realized that, and then one of my colleagues then, and maybe I could call his name Oliver Joseph, he came to cabinet and he said, Delma is getting very popular. Look, he went to a particular village where he's from in my constituency, and the kudos. So he think that should be a program that government should come up with, and there were a program then. But it was not like the one we have now. The one we have target communities. The one now is transformational because it targets specific communities without any, and do not ask you who you're voting for. The truth is, we zero in then on our supporters. And you'd appreciate his politics, and you may look for the people who will vote for you. But the WASH program that is now identified that is a leading a leading project of our now Prime Minister. Flagship, yeah. It's really transformational in terms of changing people's life, because we know that in-house washroom is not for people who are rich. It's really.
I think the point that he has made is about dignity.
Dignity, yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It's time for our first break, so we'll take the break and we'll be right back.
This year, make colorful Christmas memories with Berger. Get 30% off select 1 and 5 gallon purchases. Each purchase over $300 gives you a chance to win one of 3 cash prizes every month. October $2,000, November $3,000, December $5,000. Drop your entries in the specially marked boxes in store and enter as many times as you like. Promotion ends December 20th. Berger Paints for lasting beauty and protection.
Are you longing to taste authentic, flavorful dishes from Thailand? Then look no further. Konthai, the newest restaurant located at the back of Galleria Mall top floor, is the place to satisfy your taste buds for Thai dishes that are well seasoned with fresh local spices. They offer a great selection of sumptuous dishes that will tantalize your taste buds. Visit Konthai today because the food is good, the ambiance is great, and the staff friendly. Available on Bites and Yogo Grenada. For more information, call 456-0074 or visit konthaigrenada.com or stop by the new Galleria Mall, Grand Anse St. George. I'll meet you there.
On October 28, Jamaica was struck by Hurricane Melissa, a catastrophic Category 5 storm that ripped through communities, leaving families homeless, and hope was shaken. But Grenada is standing with our Caribbean brothers and sisters. The Rotary Clubs in Grenada, in partnership with Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Grenada Broadcasting Network, present Project Ascension, Rise Jamaica, a national telethon to support relief and rebuilding efforts on the island. Join us Wednesday, November 26th, 8:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. for an evening of powerful stories, on-location live reports, stirring performances, and your opportunity to help Jamaica rise again. Project Ascension, Rise Jamaica on GBN Television. One region, one people, one mission to rise.
This holiday season, let the Monica Benoit Wonderland of Lights lead the way to Christmas at the Point. Starting November 30th, the Quarantine Point Recreational Park transforms into a glowing wonderland with dazzling light displays that are the true showstoppers of the season. Take a magical tuk-tuk tunnel ride through twinkling arches. Explore Santa's grotto, cozy up with a picnic blanket under the stars, and savor delicious eats from local vendors. Entry is just $5 for walk-ins, $10 per carload, and $20 for premium carload parking. Plus, grab a cozy picnic blanket for only $40 and enjoy the season in style. Special pricing applies for New Year's Eve. Visit our Instagram or Facebook pages at Rotary Club of Grenada Events for more details. It's holiday fun for the entire family every night from 5 p.m. till midnight, and it all supports the charitable work of the Rotary Club of Grenada. Christmas at the Point. When the sun sets, the wonder begins. Mark your calendars. It all begins November 30th.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have a conversation ongoing discussing constituency work within the parish of St. Andrew. If I'm just to zero in on each of you, and Lennox, I will start with you in terms of St. Andrew Southwest. Who makes up that constituency, and what are the main economic drivers? I know you're into economic development, and if you have to help people, you must understand the population.
Yes.
So who makes up that population? But it's age range, gender, economic background. Who makes up that constituency?
Okay, so the St. Andrews Southwest constituency is the demographics. It's such that you have a more or less even distribution among the youth, the middle age, and of course the more advanced. Okay. In fact, it's a constituency where in the last 3 years we have had 4 people being centenarians.
Okay.
One was just last week.
Right.
One was just last week. Friday, a lady celebrated 100 years. But the other aspect of the constituency is that it is very much a more or less well-to-do, put it that way, constituency. You would not find in the constituency plenty pockets of rampant poverty.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there are people who need help.
Right.
Yes. But you wouldn't find that constant abject poverty existing in the constituency. And therefore, the constituency is such that what they're looking for in the individual is representation. Right. What they want is proper representation. So when they see me and when they speak to me, and all of them speak to me at all levels, at the 3 demographic levels, they say to me, Mr. Toes, you know, we see you as the person who can represent us in the parliament, wherever and wherever. Good. So, and that is because to a large extent, the economic activity in the constituency is varied, but it's very much agricultural based. Okay. Very much agricultural based, and therefore, many of the programs that, as the Minister for Agriculture, that I implement, they benefit from those programs as well. So Maribo, for example, Maribo is like the center of excellence. I think that's the vocabulary my minister likes to use, right? Yes. It is like the center of excellence for agriculture in Grenada. So in Maribo, we have a tissueculture lab. Right. We have a farm machinery pool. We are experimenting. We have the agronomists experimenting in crop production. We are constructing a poultry hatchery right now in Maribo. In Maribo, we also have the TAMCC. Right. Good. This year, I had $500,000 in my budget to assist TAMCC with the faculty, and they have constructed new buildings and so on. In Maribo, we have the animals that we brought in, and so on. Right. So all of the programs that we do in agriculture also benefit our constituent, because to a large extent they are in fact agricultural. Okay. There are others as well who are involved in manufacturing. There's a big manufacturing firm in my constituency, the Woodman. Woodman is manufactured in St. Andrews Southwest. Okay. Yeah. Right. And he's doing very well. Right. He's doing very well. But St. Andrews Southwest is a place where, as I said before, you would not find rampant, abject, constant
So
poverty.
basically, it's a hand up. And if we speak agriculture, I know you mentioned Woodman, so that's one set of secondary processing. Would your thrust be one of empowerment to, let's say, for food technologists, etc.? Right. So you have those types of cottage industries developing in the constituency.
Yeah. I mean, the people in St. Andrews Southwest, they don't really need a handout. Put it that way. Right. As one politician said, they need a hand up. Right? They need something to enhance and to continue with what they are doing. They are very enterprising, and they have a certain level of economic independence, right? Okay. So they have their own thought. They have their own thought. So yes, I mean, that's a kind of...
Okay. Delma, St. Andrews Northwest?
So St. Andrews Northwest, what we have is youth and middle age, more than elderly. Okay. So, and in terms of agriculture is the key driver in St. Andrews Northwest. And like every parish or entire Grenada, what our young people want is empowerment and a hand up. There's hardly a young person looking for handout. The truth is, there are people who will need handout at any given time to help them, to lift them up from one place to the next. Right. But generally, as young people, what they're looking for is a means to find gainful employment to help themselves and their families to be able to come out from a state of dependent and to be independent.
So would you say that the population is more along the lines of lower and lower middle class in terms of the economic development?
Yes, so it's lower and middle class in St. Andrews North. There's a lot of male, and so you always have to be able to engage them, because in some instances, it's not bad guys, but those who really need a father figure or somebody to say to them that you are a good person and help them to reach their goal. So, but because a lot of times what we see is a lot of teenage parents. So if I'm a child and I have a child, then it's difficult even when I'm 20 something and they're 14. So one of the things we do is to come up with programs and get them gainfully involved.
And that really was my question, is recognizing the demographic. What are some of the interventions that you have made or you have in the pipeline in order to assist with the upliftment of that constituency?
So I spoke to the fact that we have a lot of young men. So one of the programs the Empower program is one that assists young men who may drop out from secondary school, who are on the block. That's just one aspect. There's the other aspect where we engage young men in other trading and help them to have their own business. There are instances where they have family lands and need some support. We provide the necessary support, some of them chainsaws, water tanks and seedlings. There are some who want to do a hustle on the block. We provide with the bottles and other things to assist them. There's some people who sell chicken and sell whatever. We provide them with the engagement. But what we're doing is to ensure that we provide support that will help to move them up. Not always just, yes, you give them a start, but you encourage them and provide the necessary training for them. And as I talk about that, on Thursday of this week, we are launching a new program under the Ministry of Youth that will provide grants in some instance to help young people, both male and female, in, well, for now we're dealing with agriculture, because youth voice is so very important. We had a number of youth talk across Grenada, and one of the things that came up that many of our young people are interested in setting up businesses in agriculture. So we designate that first tranche of monies to those people. We had a call, we had over 200. We have now returned to 66 people who meet the pre-requirement. And so before the end of the year, some people would get, but there will be more calls across the country, and there'll be different aspects that we provide support. And we believe that the productive sector is so very important, because we need to be able to be self-sufficient. We need to be able to provide our own food and provide the support to young people who are interested in that sector.
Okay. David, we're looking at St. Andrew Southeast.
Yes. So we have a very interesting demographic. I think, like Sister Del, we have youth, we have middle age, we do have some seniors as well. So the demographic in terms of age distribution is nicely spread. But in terms of the socioeconomic levels, we have a very interesting spread, because we have persons who are very entrepreneurial. We have businesses from Crochet come right up. You have the persons who, even the town of Grenville, you have quite a few business owners, because that's part of the constituency. Right. But you have farmers who are on the inner side, the Grand Bacolet. You have some of the areas where you have a lot of farming taking place. You have the fisher folk who on the coastal areas of Soubise and Marquis, and even some parts of Telescope, where quite a bit of fishing is done. So these are some of the activities. And how do we support some of them? Well, for one, we've collaborated with fisheries to support several of the fisher folk with engines, with fish supply, with training for sea captains even, so that they're better prepared to ply the trade. In terms of agriculture, I have directed personally a number of young men to the land bank that the Ministry of Agriculture has, because they're interested in lands, they're interested in farming, and so sometimes they get supported. Only last week, with the help of one of my other colleagues in government, Minister Karine James, we were able to deliver 2 tanks, water tanks, to 2 farmers in the La Poterie area to assist them with the agricultural production. So we have all of these dynamics happening, and we try to support these farmers, these different sectors across the economy. For the younger persons, Minister Delma talked about the Empower, but there's also the Elevate Her, which captured for the young ladies, and all aimed towards empowering young people. But in the mainstream too, we have the free tuition, and we encourage young people. Everywhere I pass through the constituency, I point people and families, are you aware of the free tuition policy? And surprisingly, a lot of them aren't aware. And so I keep echoing it over and over. And I can point, there are about 5 young men from just Telescope alone that I can say to you, I mean, that I have personally nudged, encouraged, gone to the homes, made the calls for them, put them in touch with. One of them has finished successfully. He's working, and he says, he's happy. So the free tuition is assisting several of these young people access additional opportunity. So I'm confident the programs we have spread across government, across our various ministries, they are well thought out and put together to assist young people in climbing higher to the next level, whether it be in agriculture, whether it be in fisheries, whether it be in small business, with the GDP grants and loans and all of those things.
Let me ask you this, because in each of your cases, agriculture is central. St. Andrew is known as the breadbasket of Grenada, and unfortunately I'm saying was, I hope it still is. The main foreign exchange earner in Grenada right now, though, is tourism. What can you do, what are you doing, what will you do to forge a better marriage between the agriculture, which is your base, and tourism, which is our largest foreign exchange earner? How can we bring those together? I'll go to, St. Andrew Southwest. I'm not going to say the Minister of Economic Development and the Minister of Agriculture.
No, well, I mean, it is the. I think there is a well-established view that there is that close linkage between agriculture and tourism. In fact, And one way in which we can enhance that and make it real is to have contracts. You can have farmers have contracts with the hoteliers to supply them with a particular product. Of course, that product has to be at a certain standard.
And it's two things that in terms of complaints. One is quantity, and second is quality. And quantity from the consistency of the supply, both in terms of numbers and the quality. How can we get there?
But quality also, and then they have the issue of the price, because there are two things that will. Because agriculture is the most risky of all economic activities, two conditions must prevail for it to function and for it to be successful. The farmer must have a ready market for his product, and that ready market can be established through contracts with the hoteliers. And secondly, he must have a good price for his commodity. Once those two things are in place, then the farmer will produce. Now, we in the Ministry of Agriculture, we have done quite a lot to increase our domestic production, especially following after burial. And I came prepared to answer this question. So I want to tell you, for example, what we would have done in terms of production, trying to increase production in Grenada, so that we will have enough to supply our hotels and to strengthen that linkage. So we have planting material, we have distributed plantings, 15,000 plants. That is 23 acres in planting. Banana, we have distributed 20,000 plants. That is 34 acres we have planted. Cocoa, 15 acres. Good. We have a spice replanting program. We gave the GCNA $1 million to help us with that. Good. And so far, under the spice replanting program, we have 27 acres planted in nutmeg, 17 acres planted in clove, and then we have 55 acres planted in things like pimento, bay leaf, and so on. Good?
So are we saying that GCNA is delivering on the investment that you made? GCNA is an organization that we beat up on all the time. So I want to be clear that if we gave them $1 million, they're delivering.
Oh, they're delivering. Okay. I just said to you, they're doing well. All right. But apart from that, root crops, ginger, sweet potato, dashing, tanya, cassava, we have 50 acres planted.
And who's doing the planting?
Our local farmers.
Our local farmers. So it's distributed across
the country.
Across the country, local farmers.
Across the country. And let me get a good one again. Cassava.
Pineapple.
Well, carrots, right? And we have this carrot program because we have a program what we call input substitution, right? And that is one commodity that we feel that we can produce enough domestically and don't have to import, which is one of the strategies used by our early leaders, input substitution, industrialization. Yeah? So we identified carrots, and right now we have 20 acres in carrots. Good. We have 20 acres in pineapple. 70,000 plants. Good. In pineapple. And all that is taking place at Maribor. You think I mentioned to you Maribor.
Let me.
So what's up?
Okay, yes. No, magic food, so go ahead.
Yeah. So what's up? We have 19 acres we distributed. We planted 3,650 plants, right? So we are moving towards increasing production, so we will have enough, not just to feed ourselves, but also for the export.
Import substitution. Talk to me about chicken.
Chicken?
Yes.
Well, chicken is a little bit more complicated because the chicken issue, one, is the price of the feed. We have to find a way to bring the feed down. Good. We have two large producers operating in the country. Good. So the feed is one, and the quality of the feed is also another. Good. But we are now constructing a hatchery in Maribor, so we can now produce our own Dowe chicks. Good.
and that in on itself would bring the overall cost down because we're importing from Barbados as we speak.
Right. So that's one area where we're focusing on, and we want to become self-sufficient as far as possible. And we having a number of people now being trained in how to run and to manage the hatchery. Good. So that's the poultry production is one area that we are working on as a ministry to increase domestic. We I must say we are self-sufficient in egg production.
In eggs, okay.
But in the meat itself, we still have a large imports.
Okay. I thought you'd hit on the rural development plan because I know we're looking at that in terms of improving the whole issue with the rural parish.
Yeah, well, I mean it's part of the rural development plan, which the Ministry of Economic Development and Planning did a presentation just today to the cabinet because we have put together a plan for the development of the rural economy, and we identified close to 100 projects that are done for implementation. They are likely projects to be implemented, to develop the rural economy. Over the next 2 years, the cost of around $36 million. Good. That plan is before the cabinet. Cabinet has to study it and get back to us, so we could start to implement it.
If we're looking at transformation of the rural economy, I must bring up one of my biases. I am biased. I declare that. I put it out. And I'm going to target David on this one. 2 portfolios. One, he's aspirant for St. Andrews Southeast. And in addition to that, he's the Minister of Education. So 89 acres in Hope.
Yeah, I came prepared for that question too. But actually, it's a pity that we're in this place still, but we have re-engaged the University of the West Indies and the global campus. The good news is that we gave them a mandate sometime earlier this year in September. Met with them and we gave them a period of time to come up with a refreshed mandate to tell us what they plan to do. Other than that, we were prepared to repossess the land because the land in Hope was given since 2008, 9.
11 or 12.
Yeah, so it was about 13 years, 2012. And we made it clear to them that the lands were given for the expressed purpose of the construction of the University of the West Indies campus there. That has not materialized. And so we were not in a mood to continue going on and on and on. We're prepared to take back the land. We have lots of uses that we can put it to. We can, TAMCC needs new lands. There are several other options that we can consider. So they did commit that they were going to go back to the drawing board and within 90 days come back to give us a new proposal. That meeting is scheduled for Friday of this week, the 28th. So we've had the first one, so that they're going to come back with a new proposal to see if it makes sense. I told them, we gave them a mandate that they must come with something that says some kind of sword turning, some kind of ceremony for next year, 2026. Because if we're not getting that, we might as well take back. So I think they understand the seriousness of the status. Let's hear what they're saying. I mean, I did say to them, some of my colleagues weren't thrilled and inspired because they felt if nothing happened in 13 years, they weren't sure that much was going to happen in the 90 days given. But I said to my colleagues, hold some strain and give them the opportunity to come and propose again. And hopefully they'll say something that we could find difficult to resist or refuse, and we can see some things happening there. But that certainly will transform a lot on that eastern side of the country.
And that's the theme that we were discussing, and I'm a true believer that it can, because we have seen what educational plans have done, not only in Grenada, but elsewhere. It's time for a second break, so viewers and listeners, we'll take our break and we'll be back shortly.
Asian Spa and Wellness Cafe, nestled in the serene surroundings of Le Bleu, Calivini Bay, St. George, is the perfect spot to unwind and relax after a stressful event or when you wish to spoil yourself in the most comfortable and relaxing atmosphere. They offer many different massage modalities, including thigh hammer, washer and cupping, signature thigh deep tissue massage, also facials to depuff and tighten pores, deep cleanse full body, hair and nail treatments and more. Take a walk down to the cafe for authentic Thai breakfasts and delicious traditional dishes. Choose from our special mixed drinks, both hot and cold. Opens daily. Visit Asian Spa and Wellness Cafe today, Le Bleu, Calivini Bay, St. George, because you will not regret you did.
On October 28, Jamaica was struck by Hurricane Melissa, a catastrophic Category 5 storm that ripped through communities, leaving families homeless and hope shaken. But Grenada is standing with our Caribbean brothers and sisters. The Rotary Clubs in Grenada, in partnership with Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Grenada Broadcasting Network, present Project Ascension, Rise Jamaica, a national telethon to support relief and rebuilding efforts on the island. Join us Wednesday, November 26th, 8:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. for an evening of powerful stories, on-location live reports, stirring performances, and your opportunity to help Jamaica rise again. Project Ascension, Rise Jamaica on GBN Television. One region, one people, one mission to rise.
Are you looking for a reliable, affordable, and customer-friendly pharmacy? Look no further than Hills and Valley Pharmacy, the nation's leading healthcare products and services provider. We are committed to serving you at convenient locations. Find an extensive and affordable selection of prescription and over-the-counter drugs and medical supplies at Church Street, Hillsborough, Carriacou, Jubilee Street, Grenville, St. Andrew, near the bus terminal, and Halifax and Grenville Street, St. George. Our committed team is always available to offer valuable assistance for managing your health and wellness. Discover the additional benefits of our wholesale distribution on Halifax Street and our Medcare Center on Grenville Street, where we provide in-house physiotherapy, massage therapy, doctor consultations, and eye care services. Our commitment is to satisfy all your healthcare needs, including competitive prices, loyalty rewards, and special discounts for seniors. Contact us at 435-6904 and WhatsApp 535-4734. Choose Hills and Valley Pharmacy. Remember, your health is our business.
Distributed by Echo Blue Limited. Visit us on the Lansopine Main Road or call 405-4818.
Are you thinking of where to shop this Christmas? Then look no further. The best place to shop is at Dominic Shopping Center, Guelph St. John. There you'll find everything you need. Name it, they have it. From household items, toys, decorative lights, appliances, portable AC units, cosmetics, hair and skin products, formal and casual wear, shoes, slippers and sandals, bed sheets, kitchenware, greeting cards and more. With 2 locations, Central and Depredine Streets, Guelph St. John. Call 444-9221 and 444-8804. The management and staff of Dominic Shopping Center wish everyone an enjoyable Christmas and a prosperous 2026. Dominic Shopping Center, the best in the West.
viewers and listeners, we have in the conversation about St. Andrew. 440-1252, that's the number you can call if you want to contribute to the conversations. We've been talking a lot of Maribor, and during the break it was pointed out that if you listen to Minister Andrews, you'll swear that Maribor is in his constituency. All right, but we let him take the credit because we are looking at the importance of agriculture. Again, feeding us in terms of meat. So we spoke a lot of the plants and everything else, but I know government also has another project where you brought in animals and breeding those for distribution.
Yes, so we have this small ruminant program aimed at increasing meat production in Grenada and also for domestic consumption as well as for export. So in January of this year, we brought in 466 small ruminants, goat, sheep, and pigs. The pigs are at Maribor, the goats are at Laura, and the sheep, the majority are at Sotes.
Okay.
Good. As regards the sheep, the intention is to have them in Carriacou because Carriacou have a history
of, the black belly
of sheep rearing.
Right.
So the pens are now being constructed in Carriacou. I visited there a couple of weeks ago together with the minister. I also said to the minister that I have some pigs for him as well, so he's going to construct some pens as well. And we are at the stage now where the animals are ready for breeding. They are ready for multiplication. Okay. So the multiplication will take place at two levels. It will take place at the level of the government, we will do some, and it will take place at the level of the private sector. So we have identified a number of individuals throughout Grenada. We're going to give them one animal, one bow. In the case of pigs, for example, we give them a bow, and they will multiply, use that bow to serve the female.
Okay, so they already have a female. I was starting to get worried, with the distribution of one animal. I wonder how we get the multiplication.
So, for example, one bow, and you have a flock of 3, 4, 5 female. That bow will serve them. And the plan is that over the next 3 years, if the plan, we can in fact produce enough spice pigs, spice goats, and spice sheep, right, for our domestic consumption and for our export, and that is going well. That is going very well so far.
Okay.
Just this morning, I had a meeting with the team, Dr. St. Bernard, who is a well-trained production, livestock, and veterinarian. He's in charge of this program for us. He's a very bright young fellow, and he has an energy and he has a drive and an enthusiasm.
Excellent.
That will make that project work for Grenadians.
Right. We said the word Maribor over and over. Healthcare. Healthcare in your constituency. We're going to look, please share the status of the hospital in Maribor, Princess Alice, as well as the clinics, because I know that there is a drive towards community health and primary care, right? But I think that this one should fall in your lap.
So, I mean, I think that coming at a good time, because just yesterday I raised with my colleagues that while in Maribor Hospital we do have X-ray machine and ultrasound, one of the issues is that we do not have technician right around the clock, and it's something that we must. So it's like for the X-ray, it's Monday to Friday, and the ultrasound as needs be. And so the fact that this hospital service, not only St. Andrew but St. Patrick and I mean some other places, and even people from St. David's come to Maribor, it means that if we are serious about healthcare, then we need to have technician right around the clock. So it's something that we were discussing as a government, that we should go beyond just the Monday to Friday 8 to 4 for the X-ray, and we should consistently have a technician there. And it also means that we have to train. So part of all the training, I know yesterday you heard that Prime Minister disclosed that normally every year you get 3 or 4, maybe 5 doctors based on the arrangement we have with SGU. However, when they looked, they realized that we have over 30 Grenadians who meet the requirement but will need government's assistance, and so we're going forward with all 30 as doctors. So we have to strategize to decide what is our key drivers, where we should provide what our priority as a government, and we know that we give a lot of other scholarship in psychology, and it's not that it's not important, but we must decide what comes first, what comes second, what comes third. So yes, we're training more doctors, yes, we're training more nurses, and therefore it means that we also need to train more technicians. So that's part of the policy that we are discussing, and the Minister of Education and his team, they are working on at this moment to ensure that we identify what our priority areas are and be able to provide support in that regard. So while in the short term, I look forward to us giving some technician there. One of the issues that we have in the healthcare sector over the years is that you may start really good, so you may have 7, 8 doctors in Maribor, including technicians working a lot around the clock. Right. And once you have an issue in General Hospital, then you just remove the one. So we want to reach to a position where we permanently have technicians there, and there's no reason to remove them because you train so much and they're staying. You see, training is one part, but ensuring, providing that avenue where we can keep our doctors, right, where we can keep our nurses, and I think we're working in that direction. The very fact that we are regularizing, the very fact that we are looking at the remunerations for our doctors and technicians and our medical workers speaks to the fact that we are looking for ways and means as a government to keep them on island. So we'll provide more in the long term, more training, but in the short term, we should be able to get assistance to be able to provide.
Minister of Human Resource Development, training through scholarships in allied health. What's the strategy?
Right, so we are in the process of finalizing our national scholarship policy, where, as alluded to by my colleague here, the priority areas will be targeted. So we know that allied health is one of those areas. Some of the persons who've gone to Monroe have been in some of those areas, but we know we have local service providers as well, where that's being targeted. And in preparation for our new hospital, we know we are going to have to train more persons in that area. So some of these areas will be included in the scholarship policies, which will be particularly targeting a certain number of persons to be trained in those areas to build the capacity necessary to carry the country in the areas that we want to go in. So that's forthcoming.
I think I want to zero in on some of our workers and how impressed. Just Saturday, I spent a couple hours in Maribor Hospital, and you know, there's this young doctor. Maybe I'm a little biased. He's from my constituency, but it's not the first time that I've visited the hospital, and he's on call so effective. So that's one doctor who was trained to receive a scholarship and is back serving diligently. And so I want to commend not only Dr. Bowen for the tremendous work. I want to call him by name because you see, we need to appreciate sometimes when we have wrong or mishaps, we identify and we call and we shame them. But when we have doctors performing excellent, we also need to recognize them. So I want to recognize Dr. Bowen for his hard work and his dedication to medicine and to the people of Grenada. You know, sometimes as politicians, we say we care about people and all that, but the doctors do care about people, and they're on call ensuring that they are effective. Our nurses too. And there's the auxiliary staff in the hospital. Without them, the nurses and the doctor would not be effective. So I want to commend them, and I want to commend them across Grenada, but because we're talking constituency tonight, I want to say that Maribor is the best place to be. I mean, General Hospital has its role. I mean, the major issues that affect people health-wise in terms of surgery and stuff, we have to do it there, and they have more doctors and more specialists there. But in Maribor Hospital, we have our cooks and our cleaners. They are excellent, our doctors and our nurses, and so I want to place on record my commendation for their hard work and dedication. I always say, before I get involved in politics, I have 5 children, and every one of them was delivered safely at the Maribor Hospital. So it's enough to give thanks and to praise them for their hard work and dedication.
Absolutely. Anything the primary health care and polyclinics, is this a thrust? So you have the primary/secondary facility in the Maribor Hospital, but what's about getting into communities? How's healthcare treated in the communities? Are you satisfied with the type of staffing, the rotations, and so that your constituents have access to healthcare closer to home?
So I think it's a priority for this government. Just recently, Minister Andrew and I, with Prime Minister and other members of the team, we toured several health facilities, including Brudge Grove, which I would not want to steal his thunder because I've seen work started there, but I do not want to talk about it because that's in his domain. But you know, we have identified that primary health care is so very important. It is even, I mean, yes, the clinics where you go and get checked, but even the healthcare that enable us as individuals to take care of ourselves, preventative healthcare, where we are told, you know, at the community level that you eat healthy, we are told that you have to exercise, you are told that if you have a high blood pressure, then you are on medication, then you can't decide that you're going on home and take it away altogether unless you get the advice of your doctor. So all these things are critical in how we move forward. So yes, as a government, we put in priority in repairing and making sure that we have staff. We are training more staff. So we talk about the nurses coming in, but this is a short-term measure as we train more nurses, as we train more doctors, we train more technicians so that they can take up the job, and we have people around the clock providing the service at the community level, at the primary health care, so that, because the hospital really is for emergency. A lot of times we have issues and we rush to the hospital. It's not an emergency, and we say we spend 6 and 7 and 8 hours waiting, because the very fact that you could sit and wait for 8 hours, it speaks to the fact most of the times it's not an emergency. So going to the hospital should only be a case where you have an emergency, but in the absence of medical center opening around the clock, and sometimes you're concerned of the symptoms you have, then you rush to the hospital. So we want to reach to a place where in the parish, for example, in St. Andrew, we have Gramborough, that we have nurses and doctors there right through, so you do not have to rush to Maribor Hospital with something that is not an emergency. I think we're working, I mean, the Minister of Health is not here, but as a team, because we were discussing, that's what we
But where are we,
to.
just for my information purposes, do we have health centers where there is at least a nurse present around the clock? I mean, in growing up, I know if you talk about Manjalu, the medical station, there was a nurse on site. Do we have those types of facilities now?
So we have nurses and things, but it's not around the clock. So that's the issue, that's the area we have to address. Because the truth is, we do have shortages in terms of nurses. So it will be difficult at this point to have nurses around the clock. And that is why we have to prioritize as a government what is important for us as we move forward. So yes, we're going to bring in some nurses, but we also have to train nurses, and even our nurses in Grenada who are studying, we have to provide particular support and ensure that we put things in place so that they would stay to and serve.
And this is one, how do we address the migration? You know, the grass is always green on the other side. Sometimes when you reach on the other side, you realize why it was green, and it's not necessarily a pretty smell. But how do we, Lennox, try to stem the brain drain in order for us to foster that economic development, foster the type of healthcare system, robust healthcare system that we need for Grenada and Grenadians?
Well, there are many approaches to this. First, there must be a value of patriotism. And, you know, I think we all grew up with a sense of being Grenadian, of always wanting to serve and to help our country. So at an early age, it's important that we develop that value of patriotism, love to one country, love to one people. And that when you educate yourself, you're educating yourself to come back to help build and to contribute to your own country's development. But patriotism is one. Simultaneously, you have to ensure that the working conditions are suitable for our people in our country. Good. And of course, the salary has to be such that, you know, we can keep and maintain. And we should have a program in place as well for the continuous growth and continuous education and continuous development of our people. If we put all these things in place, then there's a strong likelihood that, you know, we can retain our professionals and they can contribute more to our country's development.
Okay. We're almost all out of time, and that's how quickly it goes. So, David, I'll have you give a closing comments.
Sure.
You know, you can speak directly to the constituents of St. Andrew Southeast, and anything else you would like, and I would invite the others to do similarly.
Right. So I want to point out tonight that it's the first time in the history of St. Andrews that we have had so much happening, so many developmental, transformative projects happening across the constituency in any one government term. I mean, we haven't had 2 and 3 and 4. Look at the amount of playing fields that have been upgraded and lit to encourage sporting activities. We can talk about Progress Park, we can talk about La Poterie in Northeast, we can talk about Pearls, we can talk about Maribo, we can talk about even Crochet, we can talk about Telescope now, and that it has never happened before, even when you had all 4 representatives in the other party. Yeah. Now, in this short term, we've had all of these fields lit to encourage sporting activities. You have so many schools being upgraded and improved across St. Andrew, and we can talk from Sacred Heart in Tivoli to the Grenada Christian Academy in Pearls to the Anglican School in Grenville, and I almost went further south, but I'll leave that one out. So all of this is happening in such a short space of time, helping to transform and to improve the lives of persons across St. Andrew, and it's commendable. And I hope the Grenadian people are taking good note that in such a short space of time, St. Andrew is feeling an impact with this level of representation that they have never felt before in any era.
Okay. Lennox, you go because the lady always has the last word.
In the house? And the studio.
No, I don't want to be personal, but I recall that when I graduated from university with a Master of Science degree in Development Economics, my professor, Professor Emeritus Carl Tiro, said to me, I'm sending you back to Grenada, well educated, and I want you to use your education not to make the people poor, not to keep them poor, but use your education, use your knowledge, use your negotiation skills to develop projects and programs and policies all get towards improving the lives of our people. Good? And that's my philosophy. Good? And I am quite happy that I am working in a government and with a government that has a philosophy of always developing plans, projects, and programs all get towards the social and economic transformation of our homeland and of our people. And the truth is that I feel young, I feel rejuvenated, I feel animated, I feel stimulated, I feel captivated, I have a new energy, yeah, that makes me want to work and to work and to work and do much better so that we can improve the lives of our people. That is my happiness, and I'm so happy to be here to say those words to you and to the population of St. Andrew Southwest and to all of Grenada.
Excellent.
So my closing will be different to both, appreciating that I've served somewhere else before for 2 terms, and this is a 3rd term. So it means that the very fact that people were able to elect me 3 times means that something good happened. And so I would not sit here and say, well, all doom and gloom in the past and presently there's no, you know, what I want to say, I cannot compare. And so I'm proud to be part of this team, led by our young, dynamic, and forward-thinking leader, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell. And yesterday in our rally, I thank them for welcoming me to be part of the National Democratic Congress, because the truth is, they came to me after a period where I just competed, you know, and against them. But there are times in life when you have to make decisions that is bigger than you. And so while people may look at it and say, well, you got through under the NNP, people voted for you to represent them in the parliament, and the parliament does not acknowledge parties. So in order for me to truly represent the constituency, I mean, there's no secret of the issues that transpire. And while you may zero in on me because I took that route of joining another organization, the truth is we had several other members who would say to you that of their experience, you know, I do not want to call names here, but they are there to see. Some left permanently and out of politics and do not want to hear about politics again, like the one in the north and my sister from Carriacou. They maybe she will call and say, Delma, well, why you call me? They might do in politics forever, you know. So there were major issues, and so you either decide whether or not you stay or get out, resign, and because you can't deal with that. But I'm happy that Sister Gloria reached out to me, and she didn't reach out to me to join the NDC, but she set that pace where I felt comfortable when the Prime Minister asked for a meeting with me, and so I was able to join the National Democratic Congress. And I'm happy that I did, because I'm able to represent my constituency fully at this point. If I stayed stayed in the place, then maybe it was going to be impossible. And you saw that, I mean, we saw what happened recently. Peter had to leave, and I indicated to him that that was coming, you know. So, but the truth is, I saw myself then as collateral damage, really. And I made that decision that if I have to make it again, maybe it'll be sooner. I'll make it faster. You know, just get out and move on and continue to serve, because people elect me to serve them. Yes, some of the supporters may believe, well, I supported you in the NNP and you should continue there. But the very fact that I'm able to continue to represent you, even now, and continue to provide more support now, then it speaks to the fact that representation isn't about party. But anyway, you can serve the people, and I'm happy that I'm able to continue to serve the people of St. Andrew Northwest without fear or favor.
Honorable Delma Thomas, Honorable Lennox J. Andrews, Toes, Senator David Andrews. Thank you all so very much for your sharings this evening. Truly enlightening and truly appreciated. And to you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us over the last 90 minutes or thereabout. Thank you once again for giving a part of your Monday evening, for joining, sharing. And we look forward to being with you again in the next 6 days, 22.5 hours. Take good care. See you next week.